Well, that was fast. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the next BB Disney All Stars After Show. We are unfortunately here with the one and only Elizabeth from the best season of BB Disney, Tomorrowland. How are you feeling, Elizabeth?
I'm feeling okay. I like spent most of my energy today because of the way that the punishment worked. And the fact that I really couldn't talk to anyone unless I was on a phone call with them. So I spent a lot of my energy today crafting my eviction speech, and I think it went pretty well. So I'm writing that.
It was definitely iconic, definitely one for the books. At first, I thought you were actually starting to call everyone out, and then it took me like the second or third person to be like, "Oh, she's just joking." Even though there was a little shade towards Robert Toria there, that was a little more serious. But we'll get to that. I always like the first question I always like to ask as well is, "What do you think happened?" Robert Toria was kind of this big name that was going around, and like you said tonight, all of a sudden your name was there, and you're going home almost unanimously. So, what do you think happened?
I think it was like a truly a series of unfortunate events. When when the round kind of got going right before POV, it was like Jen and Robert Torre on the block. I think it was Jen.
Mhm.
It was like I hadn't heard like anything from anyone about even sort of my name. I was hearing actually. Is it okay if I say what I heard, or is that like illegal information?
No, you can say anything you want. Most likely, I won't say everything that happened, but
Oh,
you can say whatever you want. The only people that watch this
oh
is
yeah,
honestly, it's probably gonna be Timmy and I, and that's
oh
it.
yeah, that's fair. Well, what I heard, because I was like
Mhm.
running around too much to even tell my prod chat, but what I heard was that it was going to be either like Julia or Lily as the renom. And I was hearing it from Jeremy, so I felt really good about that information. Jeremy felt really good about that information because then we were trying to talk to, like initially before everything went to shit, we were trying to talk to Robert Toria to see if we could work out something with them, because they were kind of like an aggressive player. We were talking about how they had been like trying to work with everybody, which was weird because we were hearing reports from everyone that Robert Toria had, said, "Oh, we should work together," and then dipped off the face of the earth, including me and Jeremy had experienced that. So we were like, okay, this puts them in an interesting position. They might not have, any allies. I was trying to learn on the fly some game strategy from Jeremy. Um, so that all changed with the Fire Nation attacked. All of a sudden, I literally drive to Connecticut. I get there, check my phone. I have a couple of messages. I send a couple of replies, and then I'm like, okay, I'm probably good for the night. It's like 10 o'clock. I just got here to visit my boyfriend. I'm gonna focus on other things. Cut to 11 o'clock. Suddenly, I'm getting a bunch of messages that are like, "Oh my God, you're on the block." By the way, Jill is saying, "I'm so sorry, you're not going home." I tried to send replies initially, actually, and then I saw the punishment too. Was like, "By the way, you're not allowed to talk to anyone. Have fun, enjoy your break." And I was like, "Cool. So this isn't a break for me anymore. I'm probably just going home at this point because I had." When I was in Connecticut, with my boyfriend who was singing in this big public performance, like his very first paid gig. So of course I'm not gonna, be hopping on calls while he's singing for the christening of a ship. Um, then I had to run back to New Jersey to manage my family's Father's Day meal, which was already falling to pieces way too quickly. Um, and so I kind of took a look at the way my schedule was set and the fact that Robert Toria is literally a duo with an aggressive strategy working around the clock. And said, yeah, this isn't going to shake out well for me. And I literally can't do anything about it because I can't even type. Unless I can hop on a call with somebody, they're going to think I'm inactive. And that's exactly what happened. Everyone at least gave me the excuse of, well, Robert Toria was around, basically. They also told me that Robert Toria was throwing literally everyone else's name out for who they were targeting. God bless Jeremy, because when I was able to get on a call with them around noon, which I'm sending prayers to Jeremy to do well. But when I was able to finally get on a call with them, they were like, yeah, I've heard 4 names just myself from Robert Toria. They're literally just saying they're targeting anybody that they can think of. And they keep saying that you're not targeting anyone. No one knows how you're playing. So you're too like unknowable. And I'm like, I'm unknowable because I have nothing in my brain. And Jeremy's like, I know that. But that's what Robert Toria was saying. So I forgot where the question started. Sorry.
The question, well, actually, I had somebody come in, so I'm glad that you were still talking because I wasn't able to talk. But no. So the question originally was what happened, which I think you did a great job explaining. Um, so I kind of want to go into it, and I hope you don't take offense to this. You kind of said about you being the unknowable. I feel like that was somewhat your strategy,
in our season, only because you this was your first game and you fucking got seventh place. So like obviously you knew where it was going. So like why didn't you think it worked? Do you think it was because it was too many? I don't want to say it, but like were there too many people being too known, thinking too much? Like, let's be real, it's all stars. There's paranoid people in the house, right? So what do you think worked for you last game that didn't work for you this game?
To be honest, last game, like looking at it in retrospect, with having done an Oregon, I would say at least a half org here. Since then, I probably kind of coasted a little bit. I was very like friendly and open, and I had no idea what I was doing. And I was kind of upfront about the fact that I had no idea what I was doing, and it ended up, I could have gone home at this time in our game too, because when Noah wanted to work with me, I easily could have just gotten swept up in that, but I was literally just kind of seemed too nice, seemed a little bit like she didn't know what she was doing. And I think that kind of carried me through a lot farther than anything else. Yeah, and I think in this game there definitely is a lot more like everyone's worried about being like double crossed and who's planning what, like how many steps ahead are you, like three-dimensional chess kind of, or what was it, like six-dimensional chess, I don't know, like everyone seems to be on the lookout for these like intense high level big brain game strategies, and I still, like, this is my second game ever, so I definitely was not going to be able to rise to such an occasion. But because I was so quiet and because that's what everyone was on the lookout for, I think that's kind of what I got swept up in. Where Robotori could be like, yes, I clearly have been, offering to work with everybody else, but if I'm as chaotic as possible, I think it's all on the surface. Liz, who knows what she's thinking? The answer is elevator music, but they don't have to know that.
Um, so the vote was 11-1. Do we know who the one person was? And who are you most, I want to put these two questions together. Who were you most shocked about evicting you? Like, who are you like, oh, I'm gonna get the vote, and then all of a sudden, like, oh wait, they're not keeping me.
I feel like if I had to say who the one that voted to keep me would be,
Mhm.
my guess would be probably, I go three ways. I know that in the first, or at least I heard that in the first eviction where I was on the block with Molly, Lake was the one who voted to evict me in that one, and he said it was exclusively because he knew everyone else was voting Molly out and felt bad. So I wouldn't be shocked if this was him again doing that.
Mhm.
Um, because everyone was voting me. Otherwise, I would have to say either Jeremy or maybe even Cody, because the second Cody was able to, he was telling me that he was hearing my name a lot and to sort of, in a way of like, watch out, see if you can do anything, which was nice. So I wouldn't be overly shocked, but I feel like he would vote with the house in this one at least, because it's an easy way to get points when he knows how it's going. Um, yeah, and the other part, oh, someone was shocked that I didn't have their vote. I think I was pretty surprised by Lily and Rose, honestly. Lily less so because she put me on the block first round. She was really liable to just believe anything about me, which is insane because we talked like a lot. So I hope she kind of like, lovingly, I do hope she shakes out of that a little bit, because I know like when she put me up initially, it's because she thought I was lying about who I voted for first round. I wasn't. I voted for Darcy because I didn't want Jeremy and Cody to be at risk because they were on that team too. I think Keaton too was on that team, and I was like, yeah, I like them. I don't know Darcy. You know what? Let's just go with that. And she thought I was lying to her for some reason. Someone had convinced her that I was, and so she nominated me. And when I wasn't lying, she was like, "Oh my god, I'm so sorry. I'll make it up to you." And then this time, she was one of the only people who can talk. She messages me earlier today to just be like, "By the way, I'm voting for you." And I'm like, "Okay, what? At least be a little consistent, or not in Robertoria's pocket because they're louder." Like, that might be too mean, but I didn't really understand where she was coming from with that necessarily. Um, yeah. Otherwise, I think Rose, but Rose I could kind of see, and she was more upfront with me about it. Like she also waited until she was on call with me to kind of like talk to me about it, and we talked about stuff besides the fact that I was getting evicted, which was nice. I also feel like I connected with her a little bit more, especially towards the end of the game. We started talking more about like video games and stuff, and I really enjoy that kind of stuff. So that was nice. I was still kind of surprised to hear that she was also voting for me, but it at least made sense for her. I think Lily's kind of came a little bit out of left field just because she had been so into the idea of like, oh, I'll help you, I'll be buddies with you. And then the second that she can help me a little bit, she's like, no, never mind, I'm listening to them. And it's a
And
little like,
this is Lily, you said, right?
yeah, Lily.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
sorry.
No, no, it's fine. Um, Okay, sorry not to cut you off or anything. Okay, so let's talk about that first vote because it was very like split, and that like Justin versus Lake vote was really, 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 really like cut through. Everyone was trying to get votes, and then you had people who were like, okay, well, obviously we're gonna vote for Darcy because he's on our team, and we need someone out. And then your vote, your vote went to Darcy because you were showing your loyalty to Jeremy, and now Cody after listening to what you said. So it's like, was that your strategy to kind of stay under the radar with that first vote, or were you just really just hey saying because I mean a lot of people might have been thinking about it, but you were like, you know what, I'm just gonna help Jeremy. So was that it really much going into that round?
It was a little bit of both. So my initial thought, when they ended up on one of the losing teams was like, shit, I would love to not lose either of them. I'm like, you know what? I don't really know anyone on the other team. I know it's early game and this could put me at risk if people think I'm working with them, but I don't even know if I'm working with them yet. I didn't want to come into the game and exclusively talk to people that I've worked with, before or like been in games with before. So I kind of I wanted to vote on their team so I could at least leave that option open, you know
Mhm.
and because it would be an easy way to, if I am starting fresh in a game, gain a little bit of ground with them. They're both good players. They both were talking to me before, well, like as soon as we started, too, so I could kind of see how I could, if I wanted to advance as an org player, like sort of lay the groundwork for us to work together. um and especially because as the round went on and things got so insane on the other side, I was like, okay, I don't know who's starting drama for what or where or when. I got 6 different messages from people asking me to vote in 2 different directions, and neither of them are where I actually set my vote. So I'm like, I'm just going to be as upfront as possible, tell people that I'm staying out of that mess and voting with my initial vote. I also kind of thought it would be like a little bit of a firm thing. I ended up on the block a lot and kind of battered around a little bit in our season. And I wanted to avoid the idea of me just being someone who will go with whatever or whenever or can be convinced of anything. I'm very gullible, but I'm not. I wanted to be a little less gullible this time, and I thought that voting Darcy would kind of help with that. Like I set my flag here, and it's staying there because I don't see enough compelling evidence to send it anywhere else.
For sure, yes. Well, so yeah, this was your third time up, but your first 2 times you were nominated, you received a total of 1 vote. What I know you said at one point, I think you said this in a confessional. You said you're going to try to do better with the comp wins. So was that your really just goal was to win? Like, I mean, were you trying to stay under the radar? I mean, I know you didn't want to go up so many times. I'm like answering these questions for you as I realize what I'm asking, but like, yeah. So I mean, obviously you probably would have chosen just not to be in the block than on the block. But let's say you did win HOH, like your goal was. Who were you targeting? Who would have been the noms?
So I actually thought about it a little bit. I was gunning so hard too after I came off the block that one time with the endurance comp. But I
Oh, we
think if
saw
I
you. I saw you.
oh I was going
Oh my
so
god,
hard.
I forgot I'm not on camera. I'm doing that thing with my eyes looking at your eyes kind of motion, and I realized you can't see me. So
Oh my god, true. Oh my god, I twitched towards the end. I could feel it slipping and overcompensated. But
mm.
anyway, um, I think that if I had managed to win and it was an option, I probably would have put. Um, I thought about it a lot. Well, as much as I could with the elevator music in my head. I probably would have ended up putting Robert Toria up. Because with the way that they were playing, with how hard to pin down they were, and with working with Jeremy, we were talking a lot about trying to kind of get them on our side, and it seemed they also called me an easy target too. So it seems like that would have been a good way to remind them that I was not necessarily an easy target if I kind of put them on edge a little bit. Um, just because I didn't appreciate that. It was it kind of came out of the blue too. All of a sudden, Victoria was like, I can't remember if they were on the block or not, but all of a sudden, like, they're talking about oh, haha, twice on the block, something like that, and they literally just straight up called me an easy target. I'd have to go back through to get the actual wording, but it stuck out in my head. I didn't like it. So I probably would have put them up to remind them that no, that's not cool. I'm not that easy in target. I didn't manage a comp win. I did place pretty high in all of them. And then the other person I probably would have ended up putting up, I really wasn't sure. It probably would have ended up with Sierra. Um, under the idea that like, she also was a little less active and was kind of like, seemed to be playing really nice. So, that would have helped to put Robertoria a little more on edge, because it probably would have been similar to, us being up together if it was a normal round. And it also would have given me the chance to kind of hear what's actually going on with Sierra maybe in her game, because she was very quiet, and I don't know if she was just like MIA a lot, which is so valid, or if it was other stuff going on. But yeah, that's what I would have done if I didn't get voted out.
Yeah. So who was this? I'm sorry. Robertoria was the first name, and was there a second name?
Sierra. Yeah, sorry.
Sierra. Okay. Sorry. I'm sorry.
No, you're so
The
good.
chats are no, you're fine. You're fine. Okay. So I'm actually all for the Under the Radar game. I am mostly on, not to make this about myself, but I am on Facebook side. I do Survivor games. And one thing people always tell me is that I'm very passive under the radar. And I said, well, it worked. It got me to the end, didn't it? Now, have I ever won? No. But that's for another story. So you were doing Under the Radar, but the only thing that I also have to see you not do is you were in no alliances so far. Do you think that is, what was your ideal alliance, and do you honestly think that could have hurt you going into the round you got evicted in?
Yeah, I think it probably hurt me just because I didn't have those like really strong freestanding things, freestanding like alignments. I think in this game, at least from what I could see, a lot of the alliances formed like in that big quagmire mess that was the other team voting in that very first round. So initially I was kind of like, maybe it's good that I'm kind of keeping my head out of that. I can work with, Jeremy and maybe Cody. I think my ideal alliance would have been more like Jeremy and Cody with me, and if we could have, maybe Rose, just because I really like her vibes, and she talked about wanting to work together early on, but it never quite worked out. Yeah, that would have been nice. I think it definitely did end up hurting me in the long run because I didn't have people who could help, in like a direct way. Like I know Jeremy was, talking to a lot of people, giving me as much information as they could. I know Cody did not seem to be very happy that I was on the block again, which I would like to see that in a nice light. Cody's a wonderful enigma. But that kind of made me feel good that
that's
he
what
was.
we're calling it.
Yeah, we're calling it an enigma. Yeah.
I did say in the prod chat that I said I'm doing Liz's interview right now, and Timmy was like, I tell her I love her. So Timmy gives a shout out. Yes. I was actually saying very all nice things about you. Prod has all the love for you. Okay, so another thing I like to do as well in these is just kind of give you some rapid questions. You can give me one word answers. If you want to say a couple more than one word, that's fine. Who do you think is going to be the next person evicted?
Robertoria.
Who do you want to see be the next person evicted?
Robertoria.
I'm loving it. These are really fun questions. Okay, we'll be a little bit nicer. Who do you want? Who do you think is gonna win the game? Who are you right now? If you had to put your paycheck on it, who would you be putting it on?
I'm probably okay. Two minds. I'm thinking either John Farrell or Rose.
John Farrell. Okay, and then who do you want to see win?
All love to John Farrell, but I would love it if I saw Rose win. I think
Rose win. Cool. I will say Keaton won the next HOH. And he saved, get ready, he saved Jen and Robertoria.
Oh, Keaton. Ow.
So he actually wound up winning. I'm pretty sure this was almost the same HOH that you won in our season. It was like the hide and go. Ours was like the wheel would land it, but his was a little different. They all got, Timmy random.org the list of all the people, and they all got to pick which ride they wanted to eliminate, and then you would go home if you were behind it.
God bless. That's such a misdirect. There was a like some notification about like get the cups and the balloons ready. So I thought that was gonna be the cup stack.
Yeah. Between us, I think people were asking, and it's going to be in the veto that stays between us. So people with them were also asking, is it for this or for the round? And people were, I don't know. Survivor is really different. Survivor people, we have our supplies ready the beginning of the game. We don't like wait until to go to the dollar store the day of, but to each their own. So okay, so we said, why do we think John Farrell or Rose is going to win the game? What have they done to impress you so far?
I feel like like Rose was really, really impressive with the music video in the beginning. I felt like she was really consistent with the way she communicates. She's working from Korea, God bless her, and she seems to be really on top of things. The one thing that does worry me about her game, and this is all just like a vibe and inference, I could be wrong, is that I mentioned that I heard her name get tossed around out of Robert Toria's mouth this past round, because that's what I was hearing in my 2 minutes of being able to advocate for myself. And she seemed kind of surprised by that, and kind of asked me about it a couple of times. So that makes it seem like she is actually working with Robert Toria, and I think that might do her dirty a little bit, just because they seem to kind of be playing whatever game whoever they're talking to wants to hear, and that seems a little bit sketchy. But otherwise, she does like really good in the competitions from what I can see. You know, she's really consistent. She seems like she knows what she's talking about, but in a way that doesn't make you feel like stupid when you're talking to her, and I think that it's going to serve her really well. And then with John Farrell, he also was doing really well in competitions from what I recall, and he also kind of has, I think it's the teacher vibe maybe, is just kind of come across really well to me, where he's like, he also knows what he's talking about, but he isn't talking down to you from what I felt, you know, when we were talking a little bit, which I definitely appreciated and also came across to me as something that'll work really well, especially as the game goes on. I have a feeling it's going to get really chaotic, and that sort of tone is going to really appeal to people. At least I hope so for the two of them, because I think that'd be cool to see. Yeah. So that's pretty much it. Comp wins, and they seem cool.
Yes, John's a nice guy. Well, like you said, the next round will definitely be crazy. It's it is the next eviction is live night, so you know, anything can happen. So once again, we are so happy you came back all the way from season 7 not too long ago. Even though it wasn't in August. Yeah, because it's crazy. It started in August, and be our year soon. We gotta get an Airbnb, you know. No, all jokes aside.
Oh hell yeah.
Is there
Oh hell yeah.
Yeah. Any last words? What was your Disney experience all about within this year with the 2 seasons?
I think within this season at least, you know, like within this calendar year, it's been a really cool kind of learning curve for me. I mentioned in my first interview, I think, with Prod, that I thought my draw in the game would be that I can't tell when people are lying to me. So I thought that would be interesting to watch, because, you know, I consider myself a pretty smart person, but in that sense, I'm like very street dumb. So I thought this would be kind of a cool,
relatable.
Yeah, right. I was like, you know what? Maybe this will be interesting. I wonder how this will work. You know, plus going into it knowing exclusively what I saw Alex do and play, I was like, yeah, this seems neat and strange. I'll try my hand at it. You know, if nothing else, it'll be fun to talk to him about. You know, and I think that I've ended up, you know, feeling more confident in my people skills in the weirdest way. You know, I ended up I feel more comfortable just starting conversations. I feel like I'm a little bit better with small talk. You know, I feel like I was able to tell round 1, round 2, when I was on the block, whatever it was, when Lily was like, oh, it's just that we don't talk a lot. I was like, I think she might be lying this time. And then Keaton finally was like, she's lying. She thinks you're a liar. And I'm like, I knew it this time. I figured it out. So that was kind of nice to be able to do a little bit. Yeah, so I feel like I've gotten a few more life skills under my belt in a weird way from this. And it was also really nice to get invited back into All Stars, because I feel like I was just sort of toddling back, like I walked into the wrong room in a fancy hotel, you know, I don't know why I'm here. And then talking to everyone and being able to, you know, connect with so many people who I knew 3 names, 4 names ish, 5. I'm trying to count prod members too in my head. From my 1 season, and then a handful of names from watching Alex play games, and I was like, I don't know if that's any kind of connection or how to talk to these people. And even though someone was saying that it was a very friend-based game, I actually felt like I was really comfortable talking to them. I know I probably wouldn't make it to the end, but I was like, you know what, this vibe is really nice, and I'm okay with this. Yeah.
Well, honestly, that was really amazingly said. I love that for you. Thank you so much. I do want to add a comment too after I hit stop recording, but thank you again. Like I said, we would love having you, and you know, your great personality. You're always positive, so we need that in this crazy hectic game. So I'm going to stop the recording.